Good morning, it's Lisa. Welcome back to the book club. So it's Friday morning and I wanted to start this video off now because I'm bringing you part 2 of my weekend with Napoleon. That's right. So I have been reading. I am in part 2 of the book, so I thought I'd do another weekend reading vlog and show you a few updates that I've made since I did my last vlog, and I can link to that if I can figure out how. I found another mistress, and I started doing something else too with those with those tabs, but I added something else. It's so fun and super cute. I can't wait to show you. I don't know if anybody cares, but I mean, people seem to be generally interested. So I showed you in my last video, and I did a short and everything on this, that when I stop and see a mistress that Napoleon was involved with, I stop and do these character studies, and I'm just doing them on cardstock, like scrapbook paper, and then gluing them in my book. So what I started doing as well is I printed off a picture of the woman and printed it out, glued her on another piece of cardstock, and then scrapbook paper, and then glued that in as well. And I trimmed it out so it looked like a little, I don't know if this is in focus. I trimmed it out so it looked like a little Polaroid, so super cute. And there are pictures of the women in this book. I don't know if they're all gonna be featured in this book, but I just thought it'd be fun to, again, there's a lot of dudes in here. It's all men. It's all men. It's almost 900 pages of guys. So whenever I come across an interesting female character, aka one of his lovers, I'm stopping and doing a little pause. So I did find another one, an Italian opera singer who was quite known for her affairs with famous men of the time. But anyway, okay, so we'll see you in the next clip. Is this angle weird? Don't mind the vodka box in the back. It's got donations to take to the thrift store. I just get boxes from the liquor store because they're free. Yeah, anyway, I've only ever filmed in my car with my GoPro, and it's deader than a doornail. So it's plugged in. So I just have my Canon, and it doesn't like traveling, so I gotta be careful. I'm excited to do this little vlog. This is so much fun. All right, okay, I'll quit gushing and see you there. It's chucking it down today. Okay guys, here's the setup. I have a paper trimmer by Friskers. It kind of folds out and gets big, but this thing wasn't expensive. I've had it for years, so it's just something I've hung on to. So these are what we're gonna need for this little thing. So I have a paper trimmer. You don't need this. You could use a pair of scissors. You can like put the paper down and put a ruler, or just rip it with a ruler. That totally works too. It doesn't have to be all perfect. So I got my picture that I've just printed out. This is just on normal printer paper, nothing special. Here is the scrapbook paper that I use. So I bought these in pads, they're 12 by 12. You do not have to use this kind of stuff. I buy these when they go on sale at Michael's. So this one's like, it's called Basics. So it's got, all different color prints and colors. I've got some other ones. I've got some like wood grain ones and natural stone kind of ones. So actually this one's kind of pretty. Let's use the stars. I should actually use the ones that are kind of shiny, because these ones are actually hard to write on. So we'll use a piece of that. We got a picture. I have a glue stick that I stole from my son's pencil bag from his backpack, so anything will work. And then to glue it in the book, you need your book, and I use white glue to put along the edge to glue it into the spine of the book. But you could probably use washi tape, Scotch tape, a glue stick, anything, like whatever you got. So I just happen to have this original tacky glue. It's just white glue, like Elmer's white glue would be fine too. Okay, so that's what we got. So all I've been doing is I've just been trimming this. I kind of line it up to give myself a little bit of a border around the picture. And the way I've been cutting it is I'm cutting it down so that it kind of looks like a little miniature Polaroid, because I thought that would be super cute. So I leave the bottom a little bit wider than the top, and then it kind of looks like a little Polaroid, right? So all I did, and I typed on here on the computer, all I wrote was her name and the year, if I knew it, of when the painting was done. So this is a painting of her that was done in 1805. And again, I just grabbed this off Wikipedia, like, you know. And I did look around. There's all kinds of websites. Actually, there's a couple books that I was looking at them about Napoleon and his women. I may be interested in reading those. You know, obviously I'm not the only one that finds this interesting. So anyway, so then what I've been doing is just, this thing is designed to hold, this paper cutter I have is designed to hold these 12 by 12. So then what I've been doing is just, when I open my book, I want the pictures that I'm gluing in, like here's her character study I did last night. So, and I didn't film this because it's the same as the other ones that I did in part 1 of the reading log on this book. So I wanted it to, when I open it up, be on this side, and I want to leave myself a wider margin that goes into the book so that when I look for these women, you know, they're a little bit further out from the spine. So what I do is kind of just line her up towards the left. So we'll just trim her down onto, you know, and I'll leave her a little margin. Like I'm not measuring, I'm just eyeballing it. Like seriously, I'm just eyeballing it. And then when I have this cut, this one's a little bit longer than the other ones. Then I kind of just cut so I cut a square basically, but I'm gonna glue her kind of like this, right, to the one side, so that when I glue it into the spine, I can trim it before I glue it in so that she sticks out a little bit further. I'm actually gonna trim, I'm just gonna make that just a little bit shorter. And these things have, this thing has a guide around the top. It's all measured in like inches, and I'm not very good at inches. I'm Canadian, so I'm mostly metric. But this is telling me this is 6 inches. All right, and now all I'm gonna do is glue her onto this. Hope the angle's okay. I can do overhead shots with this tripod I have, but it's a bit of a faff. If you're from Great Britain, if you're from Great Britain, you'll know what that means. Yeah, it's a bit of a screw around to get it all set up, and I'm only going to do this, and then we're going to go back to my desk. So yeah. So that's it. Now she's glued onto her piece of paper. And then to get her in the book, so what I did is, again, I'm just eyeballing things. So I just kind of line it up with the edge of the page. And then I can just kind of bend it into the margin, and then I just kind of folded it, like creased it. And then I'm just gonna trim along that crease mark. And I just go for it. Like I don't overthink this, because we're just having fun, right? And then when I glue her in, she's a little crooked. I'm just gonna trim that rough edge off. Like don't overthink it. If you do this, just have fun. Just go for it. Because we do I feel, you know, for me, I do enough things that are stressful. Like work's not easy what I do. Life is busy. We don't have to like worry about making our crafts all stressful, right? Just straighten her up a little bit. That being said, all right, so I think we're good enough. So this is how it's gonna look. So fun. So to glue her in, all I do is now I get out my white glue. Give her a shake. All right, and then I just glue along the edge of the top here. Along the edge of the top. I don't know if that made total sense. Got a little extra here, so I'm just gonna take it off. I had quite a few people ask me too how I came up with this idea to do character studies. And honestly, I've been doing this as I've been reading the Bible. Like, I do character studies when for kind of the same thing. When I come across a character in the Bible, like a woman, I stop and do a character study on her because, like, again, there's a lot of dudes in the Bible. There's a lot of men. It's all, whenever I come across an interesting female character who is actually notable, like actually, and not just Ruth, but but Deborah and other interesting women like that, I stop and do character studies. So that's what kind of gave me the idea to do this, is to do little character studies. Now, okay, so that was easy. That's where we're at. Jessipina is now glued into the book with her picture. And there is a picture of her later on in the book with some of the other women that are featured in this book. But I kind of wanted them all together, right? And why not? It's fun. So now it's all in one spot where she is, and I'm doing this. I think I mentioned that before in part 1 of this reading vlog, is I'm actually, when we first are introduced to this person, that's when I'm stopping and doing the character study on her and gluing her in. So yeah, it was like the 1800s. So there's actual pictures of these like portraits that were done of these women. And in some cases there's photographs too. Like some of them did live long enough into the later 1800s. But I kind of like these beautiful paintings that were done of them. I think they're just gorgeous. So yeah, and I think the stars look good on her because she was an opera, she was a star. She was an famous opera singer. All right, so that's that. All right, we're back at the desk. Another thing I wanted to show you guys is some other little things that I did for the book. Is I actually, instead of the post-it note tabs for the main parts of the book, so the book is divided into 3 parts, and I had just like post-it flags that said 1, 2, and 3. I actually made little tabs. I don't know if this is gonna focus. I gotta figure out the focus settings on this camera. It can get a little funky. I'm new at all this, so we're just gonna have to figure it out together. But I have this cool punch, like a tab punch, and I think I just bought it off Amazon. It wasn't very much money, and it's kind of cool, and I use it a lot. So it opens up. It's like one of these little punch things, and all you do is, I just kept one of my those scraps that we just made over there. All you do is slide it in here, and you can like watch from below to see where you're cutting, and then punch it out, and then you're left with like a little tab that you can fold in half. I score it with you can score it with like a ruler or a pen, or I actually have, because I'm extra, I have a paper score it and then fold it in half, and then I just use my glue stick on the back of it and fold it in half, and it makes a little tab right on the edge. So it's kind of fun, a little bit more permanent. It feels good, like it's nice to touch. And I actually did the same thing with my reading journal. I created tabs on the edges for all the different sections because I was just flipping and flipping and flipping and driving myself crazy. And I was like, I have a tab punch, Lisa. Make tabs. So yeah, I got tabs for all my major sections. And I know the video I did of this was shaky cam I had no idea. I had no idea when I made that video that so many people were gonna watch it. So it's like low quality, but here we are. So what I'm gonna do is I'll do an update on this maybe in March or so, like when I've done a little bit more writing in it, and I'll show you guys more of what else I've added to it, and you know, all the tabs and how it's going with keeping up with this thing. But I love it. I do, and I find myself carrying it around with me. It's always in my bag, and if an idea comes across that I want to do for YouTube, I write it down, and it's totally fun. I love it. So yeah, I'll do an update on this soon. I am in chapter, am I in chapter 12? Yes, I'm in chapter 12 of part 2. So it's called Lawgiver. I have no idea what's going to happen now. Oh, I want to share one more thing with you. His Italian lover, the opera singer that he took. So, so while he had a lot of mistresses, she kind of made a little bit of a snipe towards him. Like, she made a little bit of a dish about him at the very end. Like, he was, you know, she actually complained about him as a lover. She said his caresses were on the furtive side and left her unsatisfied, and reported to her aide that he never took time with his lovemaking, and quote, the matter was over in 3 minutes. So maybe he was more attentive. Like, I think I said this earlier, he may have been more attentive on his military techniques in the battlefield, and maybe not so much with his partners. But anyway, I still like him. We're still reading. Let's keep going. Okay, I'm almost done chapter 12, and it was called Lawgiver, which it was all about, he established the Napoleonic Code. He reestablished the Catholic Church in France. It was really interesting to learn about the Napoleonic Code. Now, that being said, for all it did established baseline education. Like, he didn't want the church in secondary education. Curiously, it was quite involved in the primary education, but once children went into secondary education, it was kind of hands off. And when I say all this, I mean men, because the Napoleonic Code, and I think this is fairly well known, was, you know, by modern standards, very sexist. And it was based on Napoleon, like what he wanted, and he had a very sexist view, and I would almost say misogynistic view toward women. And one of the quotes in here, it says, in all this, the code reflects Napoleon's profound sexism. Women should not be looked at upon equals of men, he said. They are, in fact, only machines for making babies. Yeah, he was lousy in bed, so let's move on. Public education almost makes bad women flighty, coquettish, and unstable. Whew, for a minute I thought he was gonna say unhinged. Hey guys, it's Saturday afternoon now. How's this camera angle? Is it too weird? I don't know. I'm playing around with things. I don't know. Oh god, here comes the cat. Don't knock things over. So the battery died again. I do have a backup, so I can go charge the one that died. I don't know, this camera, it must give me a warning that the battery's about to die. Clearly I haven't figured that out yet either. And then I'm just gonna go, I gotta do some other stuff, and then after dinner I'm gonna keep reading, so I'll turn the camera back on then. Yay, I'm so excited. All right, see you in a little bit. Hey guys. It's a little later in the afternoon. I'm a little tired. I'm started Napoleon, but I'm a little struggling this afternoon. I'm just struggling. Blah blah blah. So what's going on? Coming for a visit? Boo Boo. His name's Foster, but he goes by Boo Boo. Huh? What's going on? I love you too. There you go. You beat star of the show. He's on my book. He's on my book. How am I to get anything read with you on my book? What's going on? Oh, the motor's on. Oh. Like the chin is on the book. Oh. I'm sorry, did I disturb you? Oh, life with cats. Breaking news. I just found another mistress. And this one is a surprise. I didn't know about her. She's not mentioned in the picture. So it's 1804. They're mobilizing to fight with Great Britain, and he, the author, started talking about, you know, his sex life as being very active at this time, and he was writing to an unidentified Madame F, who, you know, basically said the next time he sees her, he wants to accompany her on the island of Kythera before any others. And that was, of course, the home of Aphrodite, goddess of love. So she's not, we don't know who she is. So I'm not quite sure if I want to do like a little Aphrodite. I think I might, like a little insert about the goddess of love, just to, and call it, you know, Madame F. And then he was also sleeping with Chaptal's mistress, Marie-Thérèse Bourgeon. So she was an actress in Comédie Française. The only page I can find on her in Wikipedia is all in French, so it's not very long, like it's just a couple paragraphs. So I think I can figure out enough of it with my really bad West Coast Canadian French education to figure out what it is. But so I'm going to, so I don't forget about her, I'm going to clip her picture off Wikipedia, screenshot it, and just kind of put that in a separate document so that I can print that off, you know, next week sometime, no big rush. And I think I'll actually do a little study on her right now, and I'm also going to do a little study on Aphrodite for Madame F, and then glue them both into this page. And then next week I'll glue their pictures in here too. I love doing this stuff, you guys, because again, there's a lot of dudes, and it's been a little dry in places, I'm gonna lie, but I mean, still good and very interesting. But this kind of stuff is what really makes me interested. And another thing I started doing too is whenever I find a mistress, I start highlighting that area in pink, and like use a pink pen and a pink highlighter, just so it stands out and it's different than anything else. So I've kind of quit generally highlighting in pink, and I'm from now on, and I'm just, every time I find a lover, I'm just putting that in pink so that when I flip through the pages later, it'll kind of stand out. It'll stand out anyway because I'm gonna glue information in here, my little character studies. So yeah, I'm gonna do that now, and then I'll show you what it looks like when I've got it all in there. Okay, so see you in the next clip. In fear of shaky cam, here's the Wikipedia page I found. So it says bibliography, so it's en français, but I think I can figure it out. And then here's her picture. Isn't she lovely? I love her red dress. Oh my God, this is so great. So yeah, so that picture there is what I'm gonna clip out, and I'll print that off next week and stick it in the book. So I wasn't able to find much on Marie-Thérèse, but one thing that was interesting is that she was a very popular and very well-known French actress, from what I can, like, this is my really bad translation of that. Like, I think I only had to look up a couple words, and so, you know, it's not accurate, but it doesn't matter. So she was Napoleon's lover, and she was also saying Chaptal, so I'll have to refresh myself on who that is. But she was actually Emperor Alexander I of Russia's lover as well. Like, she was quite known for that. So as much as Napoleon was a misogynist and stripped women of their rights, he certainly liked liberal women. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Hey guys, I'm back in my PJs. I still have a good solid hour according to my audiobook, and it takes me longer, like I said, because I have to stop and look things up to get through chapter 15. And I got a little bit, obviously, a little distracted when I found the next woman, so that took me a little bit when I did all that. But yeah, I think I'm gonna just call it a night. I'm starting to get a little tired, and all the French last names of all the men are all just starting to blur. It's kind of interesting though, so because I don't want to just kind of graze through this, so I'll probably read chapter 15 in the morning and then wrap this weekend vlog up of Napoleon, and that'll put me halfway through part 2 of the book. And then, you know, we'll see how my week goes with when I'm able to read during the week, but I do most of my reading with this book on the weekend because I do need time to sit and do all the fun stuff that I am doing with it. Yeah, anyway, now I'm just blabbing. So I'll let you go, and I will see you in the morning. Talk to you then. Good morning, book club. It's Sunday morning, and it's been a nice and relaxing morning. I woke up, I kind of slept in. Sleeping in for me is like anything after 7 a.m. So I slept in till a little after 7, till the cat got a bit of the zoomies and wanted me up. He wanted his breakfast. I mean, you know, like I said, he's never missed a meal. So that's fine. So I just made some coffee and I did a little bit of reading, and it's but I wasn't reading Napoleon the Great, but it was related. I may have accidentally, just by accident, like I didn't mean to, I picked up a copy of Plunder, Napoleon's Theft of Veronese's Feast by Cynthia Saltzman. So I remember this book. Jennifer Brooks recommended this book. It's all about how Napoleon basically stole this painting off the wall of a church in Venice during, you know, when he was invading northern Italy. And then to this day it hangs at the Louvre across from the Mona Lisa, and it's huge. It's like almost 8 meters by 10 meters long. Like, this is massive painting that Veronese painted to adorn like the main like eating hall in the church where the monks would eat. And so the feast, it's the feast, it's the wedding feast at Cana, and it's quite often back then the churches would commission these artists to paint pictures of you know, scenes out of the Bible to, you know, decorate the walls. And so the wedding at Cana is talked about in the book of John, and it's a depiction of when Jesus performed his first miracle of turning water into wine. So, and it's this grand picture. You should have a look at it and like look it up on the internet. It is like, the picture itself is a feast to the eyes. So anyway, I haven't read the book of John yet because I'm still way in the beginning of the book. Like, we're still in the plains of Israel where I am. So anyway, this book is so good. It's so good. So I may have sat up a little late last night. Not too late, but I may have sat up. I read the introduction and I read chapter 1, and I just finished chapter 2 this morning, and it kind of, you know, having read read about his Italian, you know, campaign. I keep calling it campaigns, but you know what I mean, like, you know. He was bringing the war into northern Italy because they wanted Austria out. And Venice was this neutral country, and it didn't really want Austria around, but it didn't really, you know, make friends with the French either. And the French set their eyes on Italy to basically plunder and take, here comes the cat again, take its prized possessions back to Paris, because Napoleon was setting up, you know, the museum of art, the Louvre, in the old Louis, where they lived, where the monarchy lived. He was turning it into this big public museum, and they wanted the best of the best. So this book is all about him basically ripping this picture off the wall. It was painted on canvas, and porting it back to Paris, where it is to this day. And so it's kind of interesting, you know, about how Paris, you know, points to the agreements that they signed as kind of legalizing the appropriation of art, and have never returned it. That, I guess, is a debate unto its own, and I'm not here to debate anything. This is just so interesting. And of course it's about Napoleon, so I'm fascinated. So it's not a huge read. It's about 230 pages or so. So I'm gonna kind of just read this on the side. I've already, like I said, gone through this period of time in Napoleon. I'm much further ahead. Like, he's out of Italy at the moment, and where I am in Napoleon the Great. But it's kind of neat too. Like, I was reading this and I was like, oh yeah, like the names sound familiar and the places, and I didn't have to look anything up on a map. So I kind of want to read this just, you know, casually, because everything's quite still fresh in my mind about, you know, all the places in northern Italy they were talking about where Napoleon was coming through and setting his sights on Milan. And that's when Venice started to get nervous about, you know, maybe the French are going to show up here. So it was quite interesting. Even if you're not an art lover, I'm an art lover, I do art. Here comes the cat again. Hey, Foster. It's still really interesting. It's, you know, Venice. Oh, it's Venice. I mean, come on. So yeah, I love it. And what I didn't, kitty, what I didn't say in my, well, I did say it and then I accidentally edited it out because my part one of this reading log was so long. I was kind of ruthless with some of my edits, and I did want to mention again, because it's not explicitly in that video, is that I am reading this book in memory of Jen Brooks. You know, I just loved her channel. I've talked about her a few times here, and I talked about her in my intro to BookTube video. But so We Love Jenny, hashtag We Love Jenny, is the February reading-a-thon that Christy Lewis from Dostoevsky in Space, who is one of her good friends, is hosting. So this is the book that I'm reading in her honor, and I guess this one too. So I really want to get through this in February. Like, I don't, you know, it's a big book and I don't want to drag this out into March. And I think, you know, with the pace I'm making, I could do that. But I do have quite a bit of reading in front of me today. I would like to finish part 2, which is a huge chunk of the book. I think that might be ambitious. In order to do that, I'm gonna have to speed it up a little bit and not, you know, get into the minutia of looking up every little thing. That being said, I'm still looking for the women. I'm still looking for the women. So I will pause and do that whenever I come across one of them. But yeah, so that's just a quick update about what I've been up to this morning and a little bit last night. And Foster and I are gonna get back into it. Hey, buddy? All right, let's do it. You're gonna have to move. You're gonna have to move. Hey, guys. All right, I finished chapter 15 Napoleon has crowned himself emperor in a very grand ceremony where he was wearing the laurels like his hero Caesar. In a defining moment of being a self-made man, he places his own crown on his head while the Pope looked on. So that was very symbolic. So, that's it. So thanks so much for hanging out with me if you were following along this weekend as we worked our way through Napoleon the Great. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for hanging out. What is that you just said?
It just doesn't look.
My son just can't understand that I am now a YouTuber and it's weird. Anyway, okay, see ya.